So, and you'll have to let me know too. They fixed all the projectors, so they're actually like, this is really a nice view when the lights are on and everything. However, my screen stops here on the projector, but I have an extra like 3 inches on my actual laptop. So I have to make sure I nudge it over just enough so we can still see it. All right. So we'll start off with this sheet here. So you are the sum of your choices. Does anyone have any thoughts on that statement? Sir?
Well, you make your own decisions in life.
Yep. And then what happens to that?
I guess the habits happen.
It compounds, right? And whoever we are today is a result of everything that we've gone through in the past.
Yeah.
So if we make bad decisions, what's going to happen in 10 years? Something bad. If we make good decisions, good stuff, right? And I feel this is true across the board for anything. So the more you kind of invest in this class, the better off that investment is going to be, right? And that's true for everything in this industry. The more time you invest in this industry, the more time you invest in animation, Photoshop, all of that, the more you'll be prepared for when you leave this area, okay? Classroom policies, attendance. So if the college is open, we will have class. I may not be here right at 8 o'clock. I'm usually here early. 7 o'clock is usually when I try to get here. I may be in the office. Someone may be meeting with me. I may not be here. It doesn't matter. If the college is open, we will have class. How we doing? Grab one of those, each of them. Show up on time and start working. Don't leave early, okay? You've paid $500, $600 to be here. You should be investing your time in that. You've dedicated 3 hours twice a week to being here. Use those 3 hours twice a week to get as much out of this class as you can. Now is the time to screw up at the software, to fool around with it, to fail at using parts of it, so that when you get into industry, you're more prepared for all the stuff that you're going to have to do out there, okay? Attendance is deducted from your final grade. You'll see that later on. But you can make up absences by sitting in on another class. So let's say you're not here a week from today. You have something that came up. You can make up that absence in another class, and it's like you were never actually absent, okay? I'm here all day Monday and Wednesday until 8 o'clock at night. So any one of my classes today you want to sit in, or Wednesday you want to sit in, feel free to, okay? Even if you don't have a missing and you still want to come in and there's a seat available and you still want to work, feel free to do that too. As long as you're not being disruptive, there's no issue, okay? I said that. 3 tardies equals 1 absence, and then more than 4 absences can result in a failing grade, which we will get to later. Morning?
Today's tardies don't count.
No, today's tardies don't count. Can you grab one of each of those right there?
Because today's the first day.
Right. Today's the first day. People are still getting acclimated. But next class it will. Assignments must be turned in at least 75% completed to be accepted. So if an assignment is, I want you to animate a 3-minute thing, and you've animated 10 seconds of that, you probably didn't do 75% of the work, okay? If you've turned in 3 minutes and it's not fully polished, that counts, right? The reason I have that 75%, I used to say as long as you turn something in, and I would get someone who would turn in literally a blank page with one shape on it and say, this is it, and then they would turn it in later. We don't do that, okay? We're preparing you for industry. That wouldn't fly in industry. So as close as we can get to industry while still maintaining an educational environment, that's what we're doing here, right? I attempt to record all lectures. So everything that I do is available on my YouTube channel and on Canvas. I also have some other spots I'll show too where I put lectures for you to access. My goal is that when I'm up here lecturing, that is not the critical information to be successful on the assignment. The critical information is going to happen when you're doing your stuff. All the other stuff should be in your notes and everything else, okay? Be involved in the class. The more work you do, the easier it is. Across the board, every time I've had that with a student, the more involved they are in the class, the easier time they have in the class, the better their work turns out, and the more prepared they are, again, for industry. Morning. You can grab one of each of those. Online.macomb.edu is where all the lectures are located. Like I said, also I'm on YouTube and some other spots I'll show. And obviously, they're a great resource, and you should watch them and use them. If you don't watch the lectures, so let's say that I go over a topic. In this class, we would be doing keyframing. Huge topic. You come to class, you don't know how to set keyframes. You don't know how to, where to click, what to do. That shows me that you haven't watched that lecture. You have no idea what's happening. So that means that you need to go back and watch that. Make sure you understand it. Take notes. Maybe you watch it 2 times. Maybe you watch it 3 times, whatever it is. And then when you come in, then you get it. How we doing? Yep. Can you grab one of each of those?
I'm sorry, motion graphics?
Motion graphics, yeah. I knew it. You're Dennis's brother, right? No, you can still sit there.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did not know that.
Yeah, that's just for other ones. How we doing?
Is he in the right spot?
Next door.
Okay, this one.
Yep. Yeah, so make sure you're using the lectures and make sure you're taking notes. Again, just the more work you put into engaging with the content, not necessarily just like working on your stuff, but engaging with it as far as taking notes, watching it, watching videos of other people doing it, the more prepared you'll be, the more you'll understand the stuff. You're here to learn to be a productive member of society. Your behavior in the class and communication should reflect that. If you shouldn't do it at work, don't do it here. So things like swearing, slacking, screwing around, disrespecting the room, the equipment, or the students is not allowed. Okay? Some people don't like swearing. I've had people come up to me in private and say, this person's swearing an awful lot. Okay, well then I have to talk to the person. It's not professional in the industry. Don't do it here. Same thing with slacking or screwing around. Sometimes the noise level can get too high and people can't concentrate, right? There's a student handbook. You've already agreed to abide by it. And then cell phone use is not allowed during class. What I mean by that is there shouldn't be any texting or watching videos that don't relate to the class at all, right? Obviously, if it's a single text, hey, I'm in class, can't talk right now, that's not a problem. It's when you're on your phone for a majority of the class. Or you don't understand the material that I'm going over, but you're watching something totally unrelated to the class on your phone. That doesn't work, okay? Any work you submitted that's not yours can be considered cheating. So if you have someone come over to your desk, how do you do this? And they show you. Then someone else shows you how to do something else. And someone else shows you how to do something else. And they're the ones doing the work. Technically, that's their work, okay? You should understand how to do everything from the start of the assignment to the end of the assignment. And if you don't, you go back and you do it again so you understand that. This isn't a, I'm going to say math class because most of you don't see yet probably where math would apply to your future. But in a math class, it's like, do I get the assignment done? Do I get the grade? And I can move on and never have to use this. Everything you're going to learn here is something that you would basically take into that next area. The people in the class next door, that's the next level After Effects. So obviously everything we learn here would carry over into that class. If you're in 3D animation, everything you're going to learn in here would carry also into 3D animation, and so on. So you should make sure you understand every single bit of everything you can in this class. You don't learn unless you do and do and do. I'll give an example of this. So part of being a teacher is that you have to learn stuff pretty much every minute of the day. So over the summer, I'm taking 4 different classes that I've signed up for online that are just kind of take them, do work, and submit it. One of those classes is a major draw on my time, but it's awesome. So most of you are probably second-year students at least, maybe third-year students. Most of your files are typically like 100 megabytes, maybe a gig, right? So this one folder for this one project, for this one class, is 219 gigabytes for one assignment. And I've been working on this for about a month. And that's me doing it. And then if something doesn't work out, I redo it. I don't understand it, I redo it. I don't understand it, I redo it. It doesn't turn out good, I redo it. I fix it, I change it. And it's a constant thing. It's not something where I'm satisfied with just going through the motions of it. No one hires you for going through the motions. no one understands, or no one's going to hire you for just understanding the tools, but not being able to apply the tools in a way that makes money for them. Okay. Our industry is a little bit tricky in that there's a lot of jobs out there, there's a lot of money, there's a lot of this kind of stuff happening, but a lot more of it is becoming a creative type thing, where they don't want people who can just sit there and produce. They want people who can come up with the idea and then produce it. It's not just the one side. So you have to do it over and over and over again. In order to pass the class, every assignment must be turned in, late or on time, still turned in. These are things that I shouldn't have to say, but I have to say them because I have to say them. Don't leave a mess. So no fingernails, hairs, sneezes, wrappers, paper, pencil shavings, bottles. Keep your area clean. And again, I put those in there because in the past, people have left those things at their desk. It's disgusting. Clean your hands before and after using the computers. You don't know who's used the computers before you. Somebody may have sneezed into their hand and grabbed the mouse and then licked their fingers and then touched the keyboard. You have no idea what monsters are in the class before you. So always be safe with that. I do have sanitizing wipes here. These are from the Dollar Tree. When this bottle is gone, I'm not going to resupply it because it's from the Dollar Tree. If you buy one of these, that's good for the entire semester. Okay? Wash your hands after using the restroom. Shouldn't have to say that, but I do. Disinfect your station. Use tissues. I had tissues in here. They apparently disappeared over the summer. Be respectful to the classroom, equipment, furniture, and students. If you missed class, find out what you missed. If you're not here on Wednesday, find out what you missed. Because this isn't high school where someone's going to contact your parents and let them know so they can let you know. This is college. You need to make sure that you understand everything that's going on. Whenever I missed a class, I emailed the instructor ahead of time. I'm going to miss class. If you know what I'm going to need to do before the next class, let me know. If not, I'll get with them the next class and see what I missed. I'll talk to the other students in the meantime, see what I missed. I want to make sure that I don't fall behind. Easiest way to fall behind is by missing class. Pay attention during lectures and classes. Do your work. Do not work during lectures. So if I'm up here lecturing, talking about the assignment, you're not going to be able to multitask and do your assignment while I'm showing the assignment. That doesn't work. Okay?
Trust me, I tried.
Yeah. It doesn't. You're responsible for your grade. If you can't or won't do the work, you don't pass. Okay? It's simple as that. I've had plenty of people come in here thinking they can scoot by, and they can't scoot by. Right? You have to put in the time. You have to put in the work to get it done. And I will work with you, not for you. What I mean by that is I shouldn't put more work into your assignments, into helping you pass the class, than you're putting in, right? I want to make sure that you're ready for industry by the time you leave this class. If there's a job that would come up that needs entry-level introduction to motion graphic animation work, okay? Leaving this class, you'll have those skills if you put in the work, if you put in the time. Don't cheat. That should be an obvious one. Do the work. You're here to learn, to prepare yourself for industry. That means hearing criticism of your work in order to make it better, to make it and you better. Part of our industry is hearing things that you may not like. You may create this cool animation that you think is cool, or mom and dad think is cool, or your friends think is cool. It may be crap. It may be straight up garbage. And the only way you're going to know it's garbage is if someone who's seen a lot of good stuff and a lot of garbage tells you this is in the garbage pile. Now, that doesn't mean that you couldn't make money off of it. I've seen plenty of things on YouTube that I'm surprised are making millions of dollars for people. But for this class, for what I'm preparing you for, it could be garbage. It could be great too. But you have to be able to say, okay, he doesn't think it's good. What can I do to fix it to make it good? What am I missing that isn't on there? If I wrote a paper and the paper got a B, I want to know why it got a B so I can make it an A next time. Same thing here. If something isn't great, make it great. Anything you don't know, find out. I'm going to give you enough information to do the assignments. You should push yourself further and learn more stuff about each one. When we get into this little chunk, you should learn about that much more, okay? Use YouTube. It's a huge resource. Even if you just have it on and you're just kind of watching it while you're doodling, while you're sketching, while you're working on something else. That's fine. But understand that the world that you're getting into is huge, not just After Effects, but this whole industry that we're currently in. Back up your files. Dropbox is available. OneNote is available, or not OneNote, OneDrive. Yeah, Google Drive, yep, all of those. Find a way to do it. Even if you don't have a thumb drive, back it up somewhere. It's very easy to lose a thumb drive. It's very easy to lose a hard drive. It's very easy to lose any file. Back up your stuff. Problem solving is a skill that needs to be developed. If you get stuck or have issues trying to solve a problem, use your notes, use Google, use YouTube before asking anyone, okay? You need to figure out how to troubleshoot things if you don't know those skills. Most of the stuff that I know is not animation and 3D and all this other stuff. Most of what I'm good at is troubleshooting. I know that I need to get from A to B, and if something's in the way, how do I get around that? That's what I need to know, okay? So there are some times where you might have a question. I'll come over and I'll say, you should know this, or find that out. Some things no. Some things I realize are outside of that realm of your understanding yet, and so I'll guide you to get to there. But you should always look for those resources first before asking the question, because that's what's going to get you into industry apart from everything else. If you can troubleshoot, you can follow a tutorial and move through the tutorial and figure out what else you need to learn. Especially nowadays, because everything is moving so quick. We're on, I don't have it there. We're on CC 2019. So there's a lot of tutorials out there that might be 2017 or 2018 really good, but they might be missing something. And you have to be aware, like, oh, that's why it doesn't match up, and this is how I can get around it or fix it or whatever, okay? So learn troubleshooting. You are being trained for industry. Assignments, workflows, and classes are designed to prepare you to work in a high-stress, fast-paced, demanding area. Creativity, focus, and a positive attitude are key to your success. You'll be working in and out of class on your assignments and will need to prioritize your schedule. So if you don't have a couple hours outside of class to work on stuff, probably not a good time to take this class. You're going to need to do work outside of this class. Regardless of what you think, it's a fact, okay? You might think you can squeeze everything into these 3 hours, or you'll be able to draw something right before class, the plan for what the assignments are. You can't, okay? You're cheating yourself out of an education, and you're wasting your time. I want you to be aware of that going into the class. What do letter grades mean? So we're going to start off at C, because what does C stand for?
Average.
Average. And in order for something to be average, there has to be so many above, so many below, and then we hit this average point. If everyone in the class gets an A, what's the average? A, right? That wouldn't make sense, because then that means that nobody stands out. And that's what the A stands for. That means that we have 1, 2, or 3 outliers who are just like superstars, rocking every single thing of these assignments. They're fully understanding it. They fully get the stuff. A C is average, and E is failing, and then this B and the D are right in those, middle of those areas. It doesn't mean that everyone in this class couldn't get an A. It just means that the A should be harder to get than a C. I don't grade stuff. I don't give you a grade based off of, well, you checked all the boxes on the assignments. I said to draw a box, and you drew a box. It doesn't look like a pretty box. It's not in the right spot, but you still drew a box. I said to animate something, and you animated it. It's not perfect, but you did animate something. That's not why we're here. We're here so that you understand where to put things, how to animate them, how to move them, how to communicate. And so the people who are really strong at that will be in the A section, and then we go further down from that. Okay? If you're in a C and you want to get to a B, figure out what you can do to get there. If you're in the B and you want to get to an A, figure out what you can do to get there. That's called growth. That's how you get further on, right? Here's the grading scale. You can take a look at that. Frequently asked questions. What is the best way to reach me? Not you. The best way to reach me is on my email. I have it on the first page of the other handout with the next page. sarkona@macomb.edu. I'm very rarely on my actual in my office by my office phone. So if you were to call me on that, it might be an entire day or 2 days or 4 days before I even see that voicemail to even answer it. Okay? Can I bring food or beverage into class? What do we think on this one? No. You can bring beverages in sealed containers. This is a sealed container. Most of the time, if I tip it over, it doesn't spill. No food at all. Zero food. We have had ant problems before. I don't want ants in my classroom. I think it's pretty gross.
Well, if anyone seen those pictures that used to be up at the last time they cleaned the desks.
Right.
Jeez.
It's gross. These desks are over 20 years old. So that's 20 years of students spilling stuff in them from years ago. Can I bring in my own mouse or tablet? What do you guys think? You've had classes before? Yeah. Right. Just don't unplug everything, right? So when we get here in the morning, we want to, if we're using our own mouse or keyboard or whatever it is, we just kind of push the other stuff to the side. We plug our stuff into the side of the monitor or to the front of the computer, and then we use it. And when we're done, we unplug and we put everything back where it was. Don't unplug anything that's already there because we don't want to confuse anyone for the next class. Some of these things will just stop working. Like we've had mice quit in the middle of the class. We've had headphones quit in the middle of class. Computers have died in the middle of classes. So the less stress we can put on them, the easier it's going to be for us to maintain a working environment. I want to work from home instead of coming in, or I want to leave early. Is that okay?
Well, you already talked about no leaving early.
Mm-hmm. So no, right?
Yeah.
Right. So if you want to work from home or you leave early, it's an absence. You wouldn't go to work and say, I'm just going to work from home today, and they're going to pay you. Most companies will not do that. Okay? They want you on the floor because they don't know what's going to happen. They might get a client that comes in, they're going to pay a couple $1,000s for some artwork that they want by the end of the day. And if you're not there, they can't get those things to you. So you have to be here the entire time. I didn't turn in my work on time but have a really good excuse. Can I still turn it in?
Yes, but it will be late.
Yep. Unless it's how many percentage complete?
75.
75. Right. So as long as your work is 75% complete, turn in what you have, fix it up, and then get the rest of the points afterwards. Okay? If you don't turn in anything, I have no idea where you're at. If you're not being responsible with that, I have no idea. I've had clients where their job was bigger than what they budgeted for time. Sometimes you have a week to do a project, and it's a 3-week project, and you try to cram it in there, and you say, all right, at the end of the week, I have this much done. We're almost there. If I show them nothing, they have no idea where I'm at. And they're on their own timetables, they're on their own budgets, so they have to make sure that where I'm at is acceptable for that next week. Okay? So yes, turn your stuff in. Even if it's late, still turn it in so you can get some points. Can I fix an assignment to raise my grade?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what we just talked about.
That's exactly what we just talked about. Good. Frequently given excuses. So these are, over the years, excuses I've gotten. I forgot to do the homework study or what the due dates were. Would they be acceptable in a work environment?
No.
No. Right? We're preparing you for the work environment. That's not an acceptable excuse. If you forgot to do something, that means you didn't plan accordingly. How many of you use a calendar app? More hands should go up, okay? Use a calendar app. Use something to keep track of where your stuff is at. Yes, sir.
I actually practice for this by making little due dates for different things to practice for the industry.
Yep. Yeah, anything you can do to keep track of when things are due, the easier it's going to be to remember those, okay? There's no surprises. I'm not going to say tomorrow this is due. I might say, by Wednesday I need something, and it's going to be a manageable chunk. You need to understand what is due then, okay? I didn't get the email. So what do you do to remedy that?
Check your email.
Check your email, right? So I had a job over the summer that this person wanted 2 different people for graphic design jobs, entry level. I sent out an email to 12 people. One person responded. So they either didn't get the email, the other 11, or they didn't care about it. Either way, they need to respond and say, I'm good right now, thank you, or something. Check your email. That could have been a really good job opening. The beginning of the summer, I got 3 people into a company. 3 people that got into this company doing 3D stuff, brand new at the company, basically starting their 3D department. Had they not responded to their emails, they might be still sitting at home looking for a job. Check your emails. You have your phones, direct your emails to notify you when you get emails. My computer or internet wasn't working. What's the remedy for that? What's that? Come in, right? I have had a student, he didn't have internet at home. Like, it might sound weird, he had 0 internet. He saved up his money, he bought a laptop. That means he didn't have a car. He would take the bus to a McDonald's. He would go to McDonald's and he would sit at McDonald's and he would work on his assignments. And then when he was done, he would take the bus back home. And he would do that all summer long, all semester long, as much as he could. You do what you have to do to get the assignments done to understand what's happening in them. So if you don't understand how to do the assignments, because you don't have internet, because your computer isn't working, figure those things out. I don't have the software at home. Should be the same answer, right?
Yeah.
Come into lab. We have the software here. Use it as much as you can. We also have classes at Center Campus. We're working on getting some lab time there. So if you do have closer to Center Campus, you might be able to use that one. But we're still working out the timing of that. I didn't understand what you wanted. What's the solution for that one? Ask questions, right? I'm not going to meet with every client and know exactly what they want. It's up to me to communicate with them. I don't know what you want here. Are you talking about this or this or this? And you still may not get the perfect answer, and then you delve deeper into it. You figure it out, okay? This is one that I get. It's surprising that I get it. The first part, I've never used this software before. So this is an introductory to After Effects motion design class. I don't expect that any of you have ever used After Effects. Every assignment is geared towards building you up to get to certain spots. So if you've never used the software before, good, that's why we're here. That's not an excuse as to why you don't know how to do something, because I've given you that information, especially with YouTube, with Google, anything you should be able to figure out. Okay, within an hour, there hasn't been any problem, especially in this class that I've come into, where I haven't been able to figure something out. And forgotten how to do something, same thing. If you forgot how to do something, you look it up. I don't have time to work outside of class. What's the solution for that one?
Make time.
Or drop the class, right? It's that simple, right? Very black and white. You have time, stay in the class, work on your stuff. You don't have time, might not be a good time to take the class. I wasn't here last class or classes.
Just look at the YouTube video.
Watch a YouTube video, check the notes, see what we did, okay? One of my goals for this semester is that I'm going to use this program called OneNote for every class. So this is our class right here. This is the stuff I want to go over. So if you were to miss a class, I can just copy this page, send it to you, and give you the information you need, okay? My file got corrupted. Should have backed it up. What was that?
Oh, no,
Same thing?
Right back up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what if you did? What if you backed it up and all of them are corrupted?
Back up another page.
It's too late now. It's all corrupted. Redo it,
Oh.
right? Redo it from scratch if you have to. I'll give you an example of one of my students. You may have seen Billy before. He used to teach our intro to motion graphics, or our intro to 3D class with Cinema 4D. This semester he said, I have to call it off. I can't teach anymore because he's actually losing money by teaching class because he makes so much freelancing and traveling and doing this other stuff that it's more beneficial for him not to teach the class. Now, the story about Billy is in 2 classes, not 1, 2 classes I had him. We had a chunk of work that we were submitting. So in those classes, I would have 4 weeks worth of work that would get submitted, and then I would grade it. So one class was Intro to Photoshop. He did 4 weeks worth of work. His hard drive died. He lost everything. And within 2 days, he stayed up late. He finished all those assignments all over again. Fast forward to the next semester, Intro to 3D, 4 weeks worth of work. Hard drive crashes again. And I'm like, this kid's like ridiculous. But he does it. He finishes it all. In 2 days, he redoes all those things. And now he's one of the top Cinema 4D people, I would say probably in the United States. He's talked at like national conferences or international conferences about Cinema 4D. He's been a representative of the software and talked about all the stuff that you can do with it. So if file gets corrupted, it's called suck it up and get it done, right? If you're working for a client, they're going to give you $5,000 or $2,000 or whatever it is to do a project. And that file gets corrupt, you get $0. They don't care how long you've worked on it. $0 until you deliver. You deliver that project, you get your money. You don't deliver it, you don't get your money. Oops. I linked to the wrong handout. Hold on. There you go. All right. So this is MACA 1900, Introduction to Motion Graphics, as I said. Our meeting time is 8 to 11 on Monday and Wednesdays in this room. Here's the email address I talked about. Here's my phone number, and there's my office number in case you need me. Typically, like I said, I try to get here before classes on Monday and Wednesday, so I try to get here around 7. This Wednesday, I may get here closer to 8, maybe a little bit after because I have to do something right before. But every other time it should be right before 7, or right around 7. Stuff you will need for this class. You can see the word required here means you need to have it. A sketchbook and notebook and writing material. Every single class you come to, you should have some way to take notes, and you should have some way to sketch stuff out, okay? Your phone is not a sketching device, and your phone is not a note-taking device. You can't type fast in there. Hello. What class are we looking for?
127.
Yep, that's it. You can grab one of each of those. So make sure you have a sketchbook and a notebook. This is what a sketchbook looks like. It doesn't look like the ones with lines all over it, okay? This is a good size. You can throw it in your bag, and it doesn't take up too much space. And your pencils actually fit, like right there, if you have the clicky ones, right? So get an actual sketchbook. Was that? It doesn't need to be ring bound, no. I just mean don't get lined paper, right? Yeah. And some people, like I had one student who had huge paper, and he would do these really big drawings, but they were horrible big drawings. You're better off drawing something like this smaller and focusing on the smaller details than just trying to make this huge thing, right? And then a notebook. So I use for every single bit of my notes that I take, I use OneNote. If you don't know what OneNote is, I'll show you on my website where you can actually see the basics of how to use OneNote. But literally anything you do, as far as note-taking, you can do right in OneNote. You can draw stuff in here. You can put shapes in there. You can type stuff. You can put links in there. You can put videos in there. You can link to emails. It's like the ultimate note-taking tool. I was actually looking for it for a long time, and then I found that. I was like, this is awesome. And then obviously writing materials, pencils, pens, whatever you need. Every class, you should have those things. There's pens and pencils here if you need a pen or pencil. There's scrap paper in back there. There's a cabinet back there, a little drawer. There's some scrap paper in there. If you need that, you can get the scrap paper. External hard drive of 32 gigs or more. So most of our files in here are pretty manageable. We're not going to deal with, like I showed before, hundreds of gigabytes of files. We're going to deal with megabytes, maybe a little bit more, but nothing tremendous. But if you find a 32 gig drive, it's a good way to take your stuff back and forth, or use OneDrive or use Dropbox. I don't care how you back stuff up. It's your job to back it up, though. It's your job to make sure that your file is not just here, it's somewhere else, and you're managing that, okay? A pair of headphones. I record the lectures, they have audio. Don't watch the videos without hearing the audio. That doesn't work, okay? You wouldn't watch Endgame without the audio. It would just ruin the whole thing. I do both, closed caption and it. 6 or more hours. You can't see that because it's cut off, and no one told me. You guys are horrible already.
Oh,
Here.
wow.
There we go. 6 or more hours outside of class to work per week, okay? So if you set up at least 6 hours, some people might need 8, some people might need 20, some people might need 4. 6 or more is a good amount of time to set up outside of class, okay? Even if you don't use all 6 every week, at least you have it there, right, in case you do need it. Professionalism and a desire to learn. If you're not professional, you don't care about this class, I'm guaranteed you're not going to be in that top bracket of student. I recommend any motion graphics or After Effects books. Our library actually has now, they're starting to get a lot of MACA books. So you can go to our library, you can check things out like Photoshop or animation or 3D or different topics. I recommend getting those because, again, the more you're involved in the software and the tools, the better off you're going to be as understanding it. I also recommend a Pluralsight account. Not required, obviously. Pluralsight, if I can spell site.
That's the first thing.
It's weird that plural ability was the second thing on there. I don't know why that would even be a question, right? But Pluralsight is a tutorial site. So in this class, we're going to use After Effects as our main tool. We'll also be touching on Illustrator. We'll also be touching on some Photoshop stuff. Other things that you may have, you may want to know, or other things that we come across, you may say, well, this is great, but I want to learn more Illustrator for this assignment. I've forgotten stuff. Maybe it was a year ago that I took Illustrator. Has anyone taken Illustrator more than a year ago? Just out of curiosity. Okay, more than 2 years ago?
Probably, yeah.
Okay, so you may want a refresher on Illustrator. You don't have to use Pluralsight. I just like it. It's $150 for an entire year, and you get access to everything that we're doing here. Where is browse all categories, creative professionals. So there's, in this one class, there's one path, there's 30 hours of Photoshop. There's 33 hours of Illustrator. They have hundreds of hours on each one of these topics that you can go into. And what we're going to do in the class, again, is this small fraction of After Effects in this guided direction, but there's so much more stuff along the way that you can do with it, okay? But if you want that, I would definitely, again, recommend it because it's a huge resource. People in industry, this is what they use when they get out there to do what they're doing. And software. So we're using After Effects 2019. Again, you don't have to get this. I recommend you get it. But that's the version we're using is 2019. We also use Illustrator and we'll also use Photoshop. Those versions don't matter so much. Sir?
When I looked for books at the bookstore, the only thing they basically had was like a little password or a little code for like a website or something.
Yep. That's the Pluralsight one.
So that's that's not mandatory?
Correct. Yep, because everything for the class, I'm going to give you. Okay, so anything that you need to know to get the assignments done, I'll provide.
Okay.
But anything outside of that that you want to see what else is out there, that's where I'm saying that, I recommend getting the Pluralsight or getting a book on it.
Okay, just wanted to double check.
Mm-hmm. And again, there's a bunch of free resources on YouTube also where you could just watch certain YouTube channels and they go through like really in-depth stuff on After Effects or Illustrator or Photoshop. For the software, I'm going to mention this now while we're on it. The college changed how we do our software in the classroom. So if you were to log in and try to go into After Effects right now, you would get prompted for a password and username. That username and password is your Macomb username and password. So before you come into next class, you need your username and password for your Macomb site. Okay, so when you log into My Macomb or you log into Canvas, that's what you need. You can't work in the software unless you have that. I have no way around it. Sir?
Does that also work for if you're, for example, trying to download a tablet driver onto this computer? Because I tried that last year in another one of my classes, and it required like a password.
Right. So that in here, there's no passwords. Everyone's an admin, so they can install stuff. On the Macs, I don't believe they're admins, so they wouldn't work over there. Sir?
You were saying we were gonna need a Macomb username and password.
You have one.
Yeah.
So when you registered for classes, you know how you log into My Macomb?
Yeah, I know. It's just that this is my 5th year. I know my username and password.
Yep. So that's the same one you're going to use.
Okay.
So like when you go here, this is your username. Don't look at my password. That's my password. That's what you would use to log into your Adobe stuff. And we'll go over that next class. If you come to next class and you don't have that stuff, you just have to watch it. And then after class, you have to go and find your stuff, and then watch the video and do it along, okay? So make sure you have that information. If you have your own Adobe ID, you've bought the suite for your house, I believe you can use that same username and password here, and that way you'll be synced between the two accounts. And you'll have access to your fonts or any files that you've kind of shared, okay? So make sure when you come to class next time that you have that information. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so here's one of those resources. This is one of my summer projects amongst a million other things. I wanted to have a resource shared throughout the department that you as students could go to get stuff. So this is maca@macomb.com. And this is how to install software. So you can go here. And if you're wondering how do I install Maya or Cinema or Dropbox or Office or Nuke or any of these things, here's a video on how to do that. If you want to know how to log into the Mac computers, there's a video on that. Here's using OneNote. Here's getting yourself organized. This semester, I'm going to try and see what happens, but I'm not going to care how you organize your stuff as long as the files that I get are organized the way that I want them to be organized, okay? Meaning that I'm not going to have a separate lecture or part of a lecture where we go through and we create our folders, okay? You'll organize your stuff. When you get into industry, companies are going to do things a million different ways. This company is going to have things organized this way, another company this way, another company that way. You have to be able to understand how to organize stuff and maintain that, okay? Here's software-specific things. So I'm still building this. I don't have everything right there. But things like here's Photoshop's interface. Here's Photoshop's hotkeys. Here is After Effects, which is this class. Here's the walkthrough. Here's some hotkeys, terminology, and some other lectures. Okay, so gradually throughout the year, I'm going to be adding more stuff to this. And the idea would be that at any point, you need to come back because you've forgotten something. You could jump to one of these videos and say, what are the Photoshop hotkeys? Watch a 20-minute video on that and get the hotkeys, right? Or you forgot how to do something, you can do that as well. We also have, last year I had people going to a different website to register their email address with me, so when I do send out emails, people get them. You can do that right here now. So you go to contact form, you fill in your information, you check boxes, and then I get the information. If I ever need to email everyone something to say, hey, classes are canceled, or this is happening, or we're having an event, or whatever, this is how I do it. The college does not allow me access to everyone's email address, so you have to share your email address so that I have access to then share it out, to then send emails out. I also have this, which is a link to your portfolio. As we get jobs coming in, I need to have a list of people that are interested in jobs. Some people taking these classes may be taking it just for fun. You may be taking it because mom and dad said you have to do something with your life besides sitting at home, so you're going to come to college. If you want jobs, you have to share your information. So this is your way to say, here's my name, here's the email, here's my portfolio, and then here's the kinds of jobs that I'm interested in doing. And it might be just anything. You know, our photo lab tech, Jake, if you know Jake, he's a photographer. He never thought he would get a job doing design because he really didn't like design. But this summer, he got a full-time job doing design and photography. So you never know, right? So you can fill that out too if you have your portfolio. If you don't have your portfolio, you should start building at least something, okay? You don't have to take the portfolio class to start uploading stuff to websites and start creating yourself online, okay? Here's some other resources. So this is on Vimeo. This is Media and Communication Arts on Vimeo. These are different students, current students, and past students from MACA, and work that they're doing in industry, their own personal reels, and then stuff that they've done to get into industry, which is awesome. So this is Nikki's reel, so you can watch that. You can say, you know, I'm trying to get into industry. What do I need to do? That's what you need to do. The same stuff that Nikki's doing. This is Josh. I can't think of his name. There's his motion reel. Here's this is actually a collaboration between Billy and Nick Parente, who are both MACA students. This is a mix of 3D, which is what Billy did. That train is 3D. The train stop here is 3D, but then the trees, the background, the people are all 2D. So this is actually Cinema 4D and After Effects and Illustrator all put together. And I think they get an award or something for this. Yeah. So again, this is a good spot for you to see that kind of stuff. Here's MACA on Facebook. Here's Mike Campbell. He's a past student, and he posts stuff all the time. 5 reasons why your renders look fake. Adobe After Effects nuke. Join Netflix. There's me posting stuff. 5 sneaky typography errors to avoid. Composite brushes. Okay? Stuff that pertains to what we're doing. Again, the more you're involved, the more likely you're able to maintain knowledge about that area. Right? So go to there. You can see the software. You can see how to install it. And then you can use your license ID while you're on campus. But obviously, when you go home, you need to buy your license. It won't work back and forth. This license won't work for home. So this class is we're going to be using Illustrator, Photoshop, and After Effects to build animations. That's the essential, bare bones explanation of what we're doing here. Okay. A lot goes into it. Okay. When you look at anyone here play an instrument? Okay. What kind of instrument? Keyboard? Clarinet? Drums, awesome. Okay. So how much of music is just hitting the right buttons? Very little, right? It's about, on keyboard, it's about hitting them in the right time, hitting the right speed, holding them for as long as you need to, all of that stuff, right? Same thing with animation. It's not just about putting in keyframes, it's about understanding motion. It's about understanding how to tell that story to convey to the user as best we can, okay? And again, we're going to build up very simple stuff to very complex stuff. By the end of the semester, you're going to do a whole 30-second piece pretty much on your own, okay? Right now, it would be like, no, but by the end of the semester, you'll be good. Objectives, be able to navigate the interface, create assets, manipulate keyframes, create net expressions, animate and sync, and be able to use appropriate file formats and compressors. All right, so here's our assignment breakdown. So we're going to have our first assignment is a title card. This is a good way for me to help me remember who you are. So we make a title card. And we're going to do a basic one, which is just like this is the ugly one. And then we'll do a fancy one, which is going to have all the appropriate things that we would need to make it look nice. Okay? And you'll see that as we go. We'll do some page transitions, some text animation, holograms, parallax, tracking, interface, instructional, and a demo reel, and then we'll have a final exam. Think of Iron Man, right? So he has that interface. So just like that. Yep. So in that, it's going to use a lot of the same techniques, okay? So in our first assignment, we're going to be using shapes and text. The next assignment, more shapes. The next assignment, which is a text animation, is mostly text. And then that hologram, we're bringing all that stuff together. Text, shapes, Illustrator, Photoshop, putting them all together to create that. When we get to parallax, we're bringing all that to the game, and we're making it a little bit more polished, right? So every assignment you'll see will build on the next one. If you don't understand something in the first one, make sure you do before you go to the next one, okay? Make sure you understand all the stuff as we're going. Everyone's work for every single one of these assignments is going to be different. It's very difficult to cheat in this class because there's only, this semester's 3 After Effects classes that we're doing. Mine is done differently than the other instructors slightly enough. So any work that you would turn in, I've already seen, right? So if you were to turn in your hologram and I remember whose it was from a year or 2 ago, we didn't do it 2 years ago, but I would remember, all right? So these are how we get points. My class is strictly point-based, so there's no averages. So I don't take all your assignments and then average them out. The base title is 5 points. You don't do it, you don't get 5 points, okay? It's very direct. Deductions for points. If you use your phone during class, 1 time, a point. If you use it during a lecture, then that's 5 points, because that's even worse, right? And so on. You look at those. Here's your absences and tardies. Again, they don't count today, but they will count starting on Wednesday. Keys to success. Show up to each class on time and ready to work. Pay attention, take notes, know what you're supposed to be doing. Do your homework, meet deadlines, ask questions. And if you want to know how to fail the class, then pay attention to those. Hopefully no one wants that.
Yeah.
The other document you have. So this is the welcome to fall 2019. Summer is quickly finishing. Actually, let's take a break. Let's take a 10-minute break. All right. So welcome to fall 2019. Summer is quickly finishing, and we begin moving into the next semester of educating the future generations of photographers, videographers, designers, animators, modelers, illustrators, and interaction designers, just to name a few. Media and Communication Arts is only a portion of where your future will end up, though. MACA is built to give you the best and most in-depth training the college can offer. Past MACA students work all over the world doing what you are being trained for and more. Unfortunately, school can only do so much. Dedication, hard work, focus, and patience are a few factors that are required for this industry that students must bring with them. Without these, success is very difficult. You can go through the motions, click the same clicks, and draw the same lines, but without a passion for what you're doing, your future is ambiguous. Along the way from student to professional, you'll have to break away from your comfort zone and push yourself to be able to learn more, give and get critiqued, work long hours, prioritize your school, work, and home life. So I like to show this picture, and then do you think, not just a specific one, do you think that this is, not him, he's like unnatural. Let's go to someone, he looks more natural. Do you think that that is possible if you're a guy and you're muscle building? Do you think it's possible to attain results like that person? Assuming that you did the same thing, you ate the same diet, you're not going to look exactly the same, obviously. You ate the same diet, you worked out the same, or you modified it. Do you think it's possible to get to that point? Yeah, it is, right? So anyone can do it as long as you have dedication. That's why I like to show that. It's a weird transition, but it is. Anything that we do here is possible. So when you look at someone's artwork, like I look at Matt Bush's stuff and how easy it is for him to draw something on his whiteboard that just is mind-blowingly awesome. And there's no way, like I'm not a traditional illustrator. I'm a digital artist. I need my undo key. I could get to Matt Bush level if I dedicated my time to getting to the Matt Bush level. But my focus is here, right? So you can get to any point you want to get to if you dedicate yourself, if you sacrifice certain things. You can't get to that bodybuilder level if you eat pizza all the time, or you stay up late partying, or you're playing video games all the time. Same thing in this area. You won't get far if you don't dedicate the time to it, okay? It might suck that you don't get to play video games, you don't get to hang out with your friends, but you look at the big picture. You look at that end result of, I can't do it now, but I will be able to later. The more work you put in now, the more freedom you have later to do things, okay? I know plenty of people who work 40, 50, 60 hours a week. They come home, they're super tired, they don't want to do anything outside of anything besides just eat and fall asleep or whatever. If you know who, what's his name? Last Week Tonight, John Oliver. He did a story about the Amazon warehouses. So these people are paid like $15 and up to work in these warehouses, but they're working enormous amounts of hours running back and forth all day long, 20 miles sometimes each day. Imagine that, and then they come home and they're just exhausted. They're just burnt out, right? I never wanted to have that kind of life where I leave work and I'm just too tired to do anything. So you're young, put in the work now, get it done so that when you are at your job, you have freedom to do what you want to do, okay? Some of these I already showed, maca.macomb. I do recommend going there, getting on the email list if you want to stay connected to things that are happening. Here's the Vimeo group. I would jump onto Vimeo, get an account, it's free, and join that group. I would go onto Facebook if you don't, or if you have it, and join the MACA Facebook group. Here are some other websites. The only one you can cross off is MotionSpire. At some point, I kind of missed it, but that's no longer a motion graphics website. It's now construction, tips for home contractors. So somehow I missed that that didn't happen anymore. It might, right? But Behance.net is good because it comes with Adobe, and you can actually upload your artwork. So as you create pieces, you can start building a portfolio and start building an online presence of your work. When you do go for your portfolio, the worst thing you can do is have everything show up at one time. You never want to have all of your work dated within the past month because it shows you don't know how to work the internet to advertise for yourself. You want to have a following of people. You want people to go to your website and get likes and get clicks and show off who you are. That's how we get noticed in our industry, okay? So the earliest you can create a Behance account and start sharing your stuff out there for people to see, the better off you're going to be when you do go for a job. ArtStation is another one. I really like ArtStation just because of the kind of work that it has. Behance is very Adobe-ish. There's other stuff too, but ArtStation, if I can type, is like everything. So they have 2D, they have 3D, they have concept illustrations, they have like amazing stuff that just people have created on here, which is just mind-blowingly awesome. And I have to tell people, the front page is the front page because those are the things that people are looking at the most. You can't compare yourself, if you're starting off illustration, you can't compare yourself to something like this if you haven't been doing this for that long, right? I don't know who that guy is, but obviously he's very knowledgeable about doing that kind of stuff. Yeah. But they literally have everything, and they also have jobs. You can look at jobs, and you can see what qualifications are. It's never too early to start looking to see what jobs are out there because you may want to do something and need to know what those things are. Let's say that I want to work in at Epic Games, right? It's a popular group, right? Senior environment artist or senior character artist. I want to do characters. Here's the responsibilities that you'll have. Here's the qualifications that you'll need. So now I know, in order for me to get a job at Epic doing characters, that's what I need to know. When I was a student, we didn't have any of this. It was basically like graphic designer was the job, and you would just apply at graphic designers. Now, they want very specific sets of qualifications for pretty much every job. And you can see those things in like 2 clicks, okay? You can also go onto another website, which is LinkedIn, another area I recommend you getting onto, and you can actually research people. Epic Games. What? I clicked here, I think. I think that's what I must have done. And now I can see here's a senior designer at Epic Games working in the same area. That's the job. And I can also see somewhere on here, close my messenger. There? No. Where are you? There he goes. All right. This is my screen resolution. But I can see connections that I have for people that work at Epic Games or might work at Epic Games, or I can see people who are there, and I can connect with them and actually have conversations with people working at these companies. Sir?
This has to do with our station. If you make an account, they have a thing you can get emailed to you. Every single time a new job pops up, they'll send you an email.
Yep.
I got that. It's actually really useful. So I like it.
And you'll find that too with LinkedIn. If you go to groups, you start liking jobs, you start looking at jobs, they want you to go to their website, so they're going to share with you information about why you came to it. I want jobs, they'll send you job information. They want you to go to their site. They want you to look at this stuff. So I recommend also getting a LinkedIn account as well, which is the next one. If you're not familiar with what LinkedIn is, it's an online resume. It's a way for you to show off what you know to the world, and people can find you. So there's my picture. Here's more. So this is all information about me. Here's people who have viewed my profile. I've appeared in 10 search appearances apparently. Yeah. Here's my my work experience. So here's Macomb. I volunteered at the Humane Society. Here's my education. Here's my certifications. Here's my skills and endorsements. Here's recommendations. Here's interests that I have. So someone looking for someone to work at their company, they see that I apply for a job, they LinkedIn me, Sean Sarcona, and they can see all the stuff about me. If they go there and I have no connections online, I have no people that are on my site, they're less likely to bring someone in. If you, your generation, if you haven't been aware of it, a lot of what companies are after is who you're connected to. It's your influence that you have. That's why a lot of these people will hire these YouTube influencers to come to an event so that they tweet about it or whatever and share their information, because that just brings that many more followers to their site. If I have 1 million people who subscribe to my YouTube channel and I go to an event that someone's paid for, they're basically getting free advertisement for 1 million people to watch their stuff, right? Every company wants people to come to their stuff. They want to be the top company. So LinkedIn is a way for you to show that you know how to talk to other people and to see what other people are out there. The skills area is kind of neat because it shows, like, I know Maya. Not only do I know Maya, but here's 85 people who have verified that I know Maya, right? I know After Effects. There's 72 people in my cluster who have verified that I know After Effects. And I also know Notepad. Yes, ma'am. You just ask them. You can ask people to endorse you. At one point they actually had, and I think they've gotten rid of it, but it used to be every time you would log in, it would say, here's 4 people. Do you want to endorse their skills? You can say endorse all of them or just endorse 1 or 2. But you initially will go in there and you'll put, here's my skills, and then people just click yes, yes, yes. I'll get students who will say, can you write a letter of recommendation for me on here, write a endorsement for me on here. And if I know you, I will write a letter of recommendation. If I don't know you, I will not write one, okay? So if I just met you today and you say, can you write me a letter of recommendation? No, I can't. I have no idea who you are. But if I know you, you're a good student, you know, I want to make sure that what I write is valid. And here's my view. If you get the Pro, you can see who's checking you out. But here are some other, things you can look at. And you can search people that went to Macomb. You can search people, jobs, areas all over the place. It's pretty neat. Improving your work skills. So I'm not going to go through the entire thing here. I do recommend you read the entire thing. I didn't type it just for fun. I'm just going to go through the highlights. Being punctual, being prepared, being accountable, working hard, being committed, having a great attitude, paying attention, and being helpful. These are things, again, across the board will help you improve your work skills. I've probably been teaching longer than most of you have ever been in school. So I've seen lots of stuff. I've seen patterns. I've seen what works and what doesn't. Improving your learning skills. Understanding your learning style. So some people learn better when they interact with the item. Some people work better when they watch a video. Some people learn better when they read about it. Personally, I learn better when I screw something up and then I have to fix it. So a lot of times I will mess something up and then I will have to reverse engineer how I screwed it up to figure out what not to do. But understanding how you learn is essential. Some people just doing what I do up here doesn't help them as much as watching me do it, then reading about it, then doing the assignment or then doing the item. Getting enough sleep, it's always difficult, but if you come to class and you're groggy and blah, 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 you can't sleep. You can't pay attention. Eat a healthy diet. Simple stuff, exercising, meditation, practicing an instrument or foreign language, drawing or doodling, and keeping an open mind. This is one of those things where you just have to understand that everyone who is out there in the world doing this was in your spot at one point. Okay? Everyone was sitting in a class listening to their instructor talk about stuff, and now they're doing that kind of thing in the industry. You have the ability to go either way. Get into industry or work at McDonald's the rest of your life. You can do either of those.
Why did it say it was last revised in 1998?
I went back in time apparently and did that. I'm going to blame InDesign. That's what I'm going to do. 1298. That's a good question. I didn't either. It was, no? I think it had to have been 18. I think is when I did it was 18.
I was only 1 year old that year.
I was 20. Here's our attendance policy. Missing more than 4 absences can mean that you fail the class. Communicate absences, why you're not here. Make sure you're staying caught up on your work. I care very little about your absences as long as everything else is checked. I had a student who, they worked during class. The class had one section. He couldn't be there for that class. He would come after class and he would stay longer than the rest of the students, and he worked on his stuff like crazy. That's fine. Everything that he needed to do for the class was checked off and more. But if you don't come to class, you don't understand the material, you don't do the assignments, or it turns out like crap, there's nothing that I can do to help you with that. Again, it might not be the best time if you can't make it to class. This class we have 3 times, so we have this 8 a.m. one. We also have 2 8 p.m.s, one tonight and one on Tuesday, Thursday. There's stuff about tardies. We don't really loan out equipment for this class. We do have tablets that if you did want to borrow a tablet during class, you can. Just make sure I get the tablet and pen back at the end of class. Save your work to the desktop is not allowed because it'll, go away. Don't unplug stuff. Don't eat in class. No loud music. So on. All right, so that's pretty straightforward. Cool. Any questions on those 2 sheets? No? All right. All right, so the next couple things I want to go over is specifics to the class, right? So I mentioned before that we will be using Canvas for this class. So a lot of the material I give you will be coming through Canvas. So you should see in your Canvas this class here. The stuff I just went over is right inside that list, inside here. Here's the Make at Macomb website. Here's some things that you can print out. Here's my YouTube page. Here's Make on Facebook and Vimeo. I'll talk about this just briefly, just because some people don't know it, so we'll just talk about it. Like we talked about before, most of you are not in your first year. This isn't your first class that you're coming into. So you've already done this, but it's always good to verify. Make sure that whatever degree you think you're going for is the one you're going for. Sometimes people grab one of these sheets and just start taking classes without actually being declared for one of these degrees. And if you're taking classes, not actually declaring a degree, you could end up having to take extra classes because those classes won't count for your degree because you never declared it, okay? So just make sure that if you're going for motion design or collaborative or whatever it is, that on your My Macomb it says you're going for those things. And then also pay attention to some of the course numbers have changed, so just be aware of that. If your course said 2200 before, this is 1900 now. So don't think that you have to then take a 2200 course if it listed on your MyMacomb or anything, right? And then also, like we talked about, that portfolio, this is a development class. It's basically you putting together a portfolio. So anything you do in this class, you should keep in mind, I want to make this so that it's ready for my portfolio. Some pieces probably not, okay? So like our title card, there's no reason to have your title card in there unless it turns out like super awesome, amazing. It's our first assignment, you're getting your feet wet, most likely it's not going to be. But later assignments definitely could be if you polish them enough, okay? So anything you do, make sure they're polished, make sure they're nice and neat so that when you do get that portfolio class, you have 20, 30, 50 pieces that you're basically assembling and starting to market your stuff for the industry, okay? Some people are very fortunate. They have one awesome piece, somebody at a company sees it, they get hired in at that company, and they never have to show a portfolio again. Some people, the rest of us, have to create a portfolio. You have to build a collection of your work that you will then show to 50, 100, 200 companies before you get an interview and start working at a company. For this job that I have here, I created 2 portfolios. One of them was crap, and then I scrapped it and redid it all. And I only had 2 weeks to do this. So I created some random pieces, I started putting stuff together, and then I was like, this is horrible. I scrapped it all. I rebuilt all these pieces from scratch. I re-rendered stuff out. I rebuilt things. My last 3 days that I was putting this thing together, I stayed up for 3 days straight to make this portfolio. Had I not done that, I would not be sitting here. I would be somewhere else, okay? So spend the time to make sure you have these pieces all set up nice and neat. Under modules on Canvas is where I typically am going to throw all of my stuff. We'll get more into these, and I will want you to go through and start watching more of these things. But some of the stuff that's out there that we'll see in here are principles of animation. Don't worry about that yet. Here's School of Motion. Don't worry about that yet. Hotkeys and definitions. Here's a PDF. I'll give you the actual handout next class, so you have hotkeys. Use the hotkeys. There will not be a test on them. Your test in these will be how fast you can work. Any software I use, first thing, learn the hotkeys. That's what I need to do. The faster I can work, the faster I can screw up, the faster I can progress, okay? And I learn probably at least 3 different softwares a year. That may not sound like a lot, but it is. I learn 3 different softwares a year. This is important for Wednesday, okay? So we need to do start planning for our title card. That's our first assignment, okay? So this is homework for Wednesday. Don't come to class unprepared on Wednesday. You want to have this stuff ready to go on Wednesday. What day do you want to have this done by? Wednesday.
So
All right.
Look through this before
Right.
Wednesday?
So you're going to go through this principles and elements of design, okay? This is a refresher. The stuff in MACA 1020, 1025, whatever number you took it as, is basically what makes a good layout. Balance, symmetry, understanding contrast, that kind of thing. If you've forgotten it, look at it. If you remembered it, still look at it to verify that you have all those things clicked in there. Nobody will remember every single thing. Well, I can't say nobody. I'm sure somebody will. Not me. We'll remember everything. So I always think it's important to have these little refreshers to see. So these are the 20 most important design principles illustrated. So things that you would think about when you're designing something, designing a layout. Line, scale, color, repetition, negative space, blah, 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 all the way down there. And they go through detail on each one of those too, okay? So look at that. And then what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to start creating a layout for what we want our title card to look like, okay? So you've seen these before. If you've ever watched YouTube, anyone here not watched YouTube ever? Good. I pretty much live on YouTube with all the stuff I watch.
Yeah.
So every video typically has a title card at the beginning of it. This is the channel you're watching, or it's at the end. This is what you just watched. So that's what we're going to create for our first assignment, is your title card that we'll use at the beginning of every single one of our assignments, okay? So your job is to sketch out different layouts for what you want to do, okay? So think about where our level is at. Right now, we're at the beginning of After Effects. We don't know how to do all the fancy stuff yet. We will. Our first one, like I said, is going to be a boring, simple title card. Our next one, right after that, we're going to take that design and we're either going to wipe it away and make a brand new one, or we're going to enhance it to make it all nice and flowy and everything else. So what you need to do is you're going to use these sheets here. These are the proportions of what we're going to be animating. Okay, this is our video. I'll just give that to you and you can just pass it around. Just take one and pass it around. So I want you to start laying out where you want your information to be. So what information do you think we would need to have on a title card for this class? Your name, right? So obviously we need to know whose stuff this is. What else? What was that? Class.
The semester.
Yep. So we're going to do, where did I put that? Semester.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm good, right? Yeah, okay. Class semester. So think of this like fall 2019. Don't think of it as MACA 1900, this, okay? Simple enough as fall 2019 is sufficient for that, okay? You could do MACA 1900, fall 2019. You could do MACA 1900. Oh my God. Introduction to Motion Graphics. Okay, fall 2019. Okay, so information that I need to know is something along this realm. This is where it gets ambiguous. Did I give enough out? Or still more? Okay. Where it gets ambiguous as to what do we do. As designers, we have to figure that stuff out. What do we want? What does our layout look like? If your layout doesn't want a huge piece of text like this in there, maybe we want to shorten it to just fall 2019. Okay? Or maybe we want to expand it a little bit more and do MACA 1900 fall 2019. Right? So what else should we have on there? This is going to be a bumper before each one of our assignments that tells people what the assignment is.
It's the name of the assignment.
Yep, we're going to do name and number of assignment.
Name and
Okay? So we essentially have 4 pieces of information here. I'm going to separate these. There we go. 4 pieces of information that we want to have on our title card. You're going to use those sheets that I gave you and lay out different ways that you want your stuff to be displayed. So you have to think of it as, what do I want someone that sees this video to see right when they start this thing, okay? Do I want my name on it the whole time? Do I want the class and semester the whole time? Do I want things to flow in and out? Do I want the name of my assignment here and the number here or whatever, okay? Now, just to give you an example of what students have done in the past, I will show 2 examples. Now, when I show an example, your challenge is to not do that example. Okay, if I show you a frog, I don't want to see a frog because that's somebody else's idea that's just been implanted into your brain. Okay, do something different. I have to go to actually my classes. Make a organize 1900 title card. Hold on. All right. Ignore this. This is the file name. That's not actually part of the title card.
so it's called title card, not basic title.
Well, the assignment is basic title card, but in this one, he just put title card, okay?
Okay.
So we see the information there. There's his name, there's the class number, there's the number for the assignment, there's the assignment name, right? Okay. All right, there's her information. Now, we'll get into the specifics when we start animating it. Johnny's, the first one I showed, the screen was basically blank, stuff came on the screen, and then stuff went away. Here, the screen was blank, stuff came on the screen, and then it stays there. We don't want that. We always want to think about what's the transition. How are we going to get from A to B, from this piece to that piece, right? If you watch YouTube videos, what are the videos that people do where they're like talking? What kind of transitions are they using? Straight cuts? Or just like cuts, right? There's no fade, there's no transition, right? However, if you watch Star Wars, usually there's like a fade that happens from one side of the screen to the other where they're going from like one environment to the other, right? What's that? Yeah. So we want to always think about that. For this assignment, we always want to think about the end should be blank, the beginning should be blank as well. Now, Marina's, that was her first title card, and I said that's actually kind of crappy, like how it's set up. You need to like fix it. So, if I can find her other one. So she said, yeah, I really didn't care for it anyway. It was just kind of like, there it is. It was my first one. I thought I'd do this, and I thought it would work out different. This is her end one. Okay. Now, ignore the 0-2 page transitions. Okay. It's the same thing. For assignment 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, we're changing the number, we're changing the title on each one of those. Okay. So you see, that's a totally different layout than she had before. This one works a lot better than the first one that she did, right? So we will have modifications. We will have things that we're going to tweak. When we first do this, you might learn techniques along the way that you change your title card. 2 assignments down or 3 assignments down, you might scrap it because it's crap and you may rebuild a new one. You should. Every time you realize I want to change something, you should change it, okay? Let's see if there's anyone. I'll show you Evans. So Evan just got a job at Cutters. He was doing motion graphics there. And he just left there because he got another job somewhere else. Demo reel. Not headphones. Yes, headphones. We're getting closer to being able to operate. There we go. All right, let's start that again. All right, so was Evan's title card. So he did these kind of like organic shapes. At no point during this lecture did I go over how to make those shapes. He said, this is what I want to have. He went out and figured out how to do those things, and then he built it. And this is what he's doing now, motion graphic stuff. Okay? So what you should do is you should go to Google, title card motion graphics. That will pull this kind of stuff up. Get some ideas for how people are laying things out. Think of a theme if you have a theme. So like this is a Stranger Things one. It's overdone now, so don't do Stranger Things because it's like, you know, by the time you submit your stuff, you don't want to be like, Stranger Things still? No. But you might have an idea where you're like, I really like this type of look, and you kind of pull from nature, you pull from something that you're already comfortable with, and use that as a theme that you're using. Now the tricky part is getting this stuff to look like it's nice and look like it's balanced on there. It's very easy to just throw stuff on the screen and hope that it works. Okay, this is a really nice one. We see who's the name of the person, we see a little title, and then there's a website at the bottom that I'm assuming is not actually on that title card. But it's nice, it's simple, and it's clean, right? That's the idea with these. These things are going to be only 5 seconds long, so we don't have a lot of time to do all these crazy things. I had people before, they want to have each letter animate in. How long do you want to watch a title card for, right? Do you want to sit there for 30 seconds watching a title card to see a...
YouTube ads are only 5 seconds.
Right.
You skip them after 5 seconds because no one wants to watch them.
Right. Well, that's why I got the premium, so I don't have to watch them at all. I also recommend Pinterest. Does anyone here not know what Pinterest is? Everyone does know what Pinterest is.
I know what Pinterest is.
Okay, good. So Pinterest is great because obviously we can get a lot of information very quickly, right? So I typed in title motion graphics, and this is what it pulls up. As I'm looking at this, I'm trying to get ideas for my own title card. I'm looking at fonts, I'm looking at colors, and I'm looking at different simple graphics that I could use, right? So I love this one here with these kind of like loopy kind of fonts. That gives me a really cool way that I could animate these things on, where instead of the text just like coming in, they actually would like write themselves, okay? That'll actually be one of our assignments, is to do a writing, but you may want to do it earlier. You may want to see how that's done now. Something like this with the yellow, the blue, and the white, that might be a cool way to do it, having some simple line work inside there. Something like this with the patterns. Obviously you can see how he's animating it in here. That's really cool. Okay, I like the flashing, right? So I can save this, put it on my board. Here's some more stuff, okay? So you're going to use your piece of paper to draw out ideas. This is an example of some ideas here. Downloads, 1900, there. So this is as simple as those designs need to be. These ones I have to fill in or darken in. But I have my box, I have some diagonals, and I have some 2 pieces of information there. This is probably where I would put, let's say, my name here and my class semester there, and then this would be the assignment name and assignment number, okay? Now think about those 2 things, right? Assignment number is going to be how big? How many characters is typically the assignment number going to be?
1 or
2, right? 1 or 2. Now to keep things simple, I think if we put 0102, that makes it easier, because unless we had 100 assignments, we're never going to bump up to that 3rd digit, right? So if we keep it as 2, we should be good, right? Now what about the assignment name? How long is that going to be? Variable, right? Every assignment's different. Title card is this big. Page transition, which is our longest one, is that big. So we have to keep that in mind, because what we don't want to do is have to redesign our animations every time, right? So something like this, if I were just to put 01 in that top line and title card at the bottom, that might look weird. So I may actually write out assignment 1 title card, right? Or assignment 2 whatever, okay? Something down here, I may have my name, the class here, I may have the assignment number there really big, and then have the assignment on the other side, okay? Look at the design. If we don't have a good design, our animation means nothing, okay? You can't take a piece of crap and animate it and make it look good, okay? You have to have a nice, clean design, then animate it, and then those 2 things work together. So here's some more stuff, just different layouts here, different layouts there. This one was actually going to be the box would come up, these lines would come out, and then the information would be in the center. So it would say Sean Sarcona, then it would flip to the next one, then it would flip to the next one, and say the information. So everything's not on the screen at the same time. Now for something like that to happen, my animation has to be very quick, because in order for them to be able to see the text, see what's happening, and for me to be able to get it on the screen and off the screen, I have to be very careful about that, okay? 5 seconds is not as long as you think it is, okay? and then I have some other ones that I'm still penciling in or penning in, okay? So that is part A of your homework. Any questions on part A? Yes, sir.
So for this sheet, we just do one thumbnail idea for each.
So I only need one idea that we're going to turn into a card.
Yeah, but with this, is this what we use for thumbnails?
Yep, that's what you use for thumbnails.
Okay.
Now think about that. I gave you one sheet. There's a million of them over there. I would take more of those. I would have these at home. I would have these in your folder. Anytime you get an idea, anytime you see something, you grab your paper and you sketch out that idea. You may never use it for this class, but a year from now you may say, hey, that was a good idea I had back then. I want to see what happens. Or you're trying to put your demo reel together. 5 seconds of animation is not going to take you that long by the end of class. You could whip these things out within an hour. Okay, once you're good and comfortable with this, you can get very good at just taking some of these designs, putting some fake companies in there, and making it look like you have a million clients because you have all these different title cards that you've built. And if you get a freelance job or something and someone needs one, you can pull it from the catalog and just change your information and use it. Now, there's, how many are on there? 12? I think 4 and 3? Yes. I would recommend, again, filling up that entire thing with different designs, okay? Because if one design doesn't work for your animation, you don't want to have to sit there and think about what do I want to do now. If you have 12 designs and design 1 doesn't work, you go to design 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever, okay? Your design process is part of what gets you into industry. The companies don't want to hire you because you have one good piece, typically. They want to hire you because you know the process. If they say, I need an animation done, you can whip up some animation, give them the idea, they can pick what they want, and then hand it back to you. Before he does any of this stuff, to get to this point, he sketches it out.
Films. So I'll try to show you a pipeline that is very
So here's him.
with the sketch.
And now what he's doing is he's pulling from his image library all the images that he's going to use to put in all these places. Then at the end of it, he's going to go through and hand paint and blend everything together. Now his ability, and you'll see, I watched his video, I never see his mouse go into that left side. Why? He knows the hotkeys, right? If he went over there and he used the hotkeys, how fast is he going to work?
Pretty fast.
Not fast. If he uses the hotkeys, he's going to work fast. If he doesn't use the hotkeys, it's going to take forever. Moving that mouse over there or using his tablet over there to click, it'll take literally forever. Your ability to create art shouldn't be slowed down because of the software. The software is a tool. We should maximize it. And you'll see like everything, like he's grabbing distort tools and tree transforms and everything. He knows all those hotkeys. He has his workflow. Yeah, it's crazy, right? How quick that was for him to do that, but that's years of work. That's him as a student and in his free time doing all of this stuff. So that's him. And now there's this guy. I'm going to watch the preview. And again, concept illustration. Now what they also are talking about in all of these is the composition. The composition stuff that we look at when we're doing our title card, those same design principles are going in right here. He talks about, at length, your eye, when you look at this, looking at the knight, which then tells a story about this guy, which then tells a story about the background elements. He talks about how he's layering things. And again, his stuff starts from different sketch ideas. He goes online, he researches a bunch of different images, a bunch of different concepts, a bunch of different things that he thinks might be cool to add together. He has those in his Pinterest page or his library, and then he just starts sketching things out. What will it look like when I do this? What will it look like when I do that? And what's cool is you see that whole process of this. So this is all of his research, not all of it, but this is his stuff that he's showing research. And then here's him like sketching out what the stuff looks like. And again, he's doing basically the same thing that the other guy was doing with the elephant and the little girl. He's grabbing, like, I found a cool knife, and he cuts out the knife in Photoshop. Not even using a pen tool. No, he's an animal. He just cuts it out, and he just drops it on there, and he just erases stuff. There's, clone stamp, boom, right? And he's just dropping these things in here. This isn't part of it. He's just showing the different layers. And then this is all him blending all these things together, right? Now, as an animator, we could take something like this, that if we created it, and we could actually make that into a moving scene. We could make it so the knight is in front and all those different layers are there, and we can actually have a camera that kind of moves, and we can see the thing and make it feel like it has 3D. But again, 8 hours. Now he also shows, like, now that I've created it in 2D, I'm going to then make it in 3D. So the first guy, I have no idea whether or not he knows anything about 3D. This guy, he knows, obviously, ZBrush, which is what he's using, and he knows Photoshop. And again, that's an 8-hour day. So we want to be able to work quickly. We want to know the process of it. Neither of these people just jumped in and started working in Photoshop. They figured out what they wanted ahead of time. They had their screen of images that they were pulling from. Then they started working on stuff. Now, apart from all the stuff that they've shown in the video, there's years and years of stuff that's just cataloged in their mind about how light works, how fog works, how to blend things, all the other stuff. Make your jobs easy. Look at reference, look at all the other stuff. Okay. So that was part A, doing that stuff. The other thing that I want you to do is I want you to watch 5 videos. Okay. So on Meka.Macomb, or Meka at Macomb, I want you to watch the Get Yourself Organized and Take Note. Okay, I'm not going to go over organization when we start on Wednesday. When we come in Wednesday, we're going to get right into it. Okay, so if you have your folders already set up, we can move a lot faster than if we're waiting. And most likely we're not going to wait because we want to just get right into it. I used to spend that first day like, okay, now we're going to create folders. At this level, you guys should know more about folder creation than I should, right? You guys have been using computers pretty much every day of your life, right? Take Note goes through using OneNote, but it also goes through how I take notes. Okay, it's a short video. None of these are like crazy long. They're like 5-10 minute videos. Okay, so watch those two. And then under the Adobe After Effects section, I want you to watch the interface, getting to know the hotkeys, and understanding the terminology. So these 3 videos here. Okay? I don't expect you to be masters of the interface, masters of the hotkeys, masters of the terminology. The goal is you've sat there and you've watched it and you've taken some notes. When we come into class, you have at least a little chunk of information that we're starting with, versus you come in and you're a blank slate and we have to walk you through, this is how a computer gets turned on, this is where a mouse is and everything. Okay? I want you guys to progress in the class, and some things I'm going to assume that you know. You know how to create folders on your computer, and if you don't know, at the very least, you know how to look those things up. Okay? If you come in on Wednesday, you have a thumb drive, you have your organizational stuff kind of started, and we can go from there. Okay? And title card examples, showing that. Pinterest. All right. And now I'm going to finish with a example work.